You all may recognize me from scanning in LA at the YPO conference. We scanned over 100 people, and we have some really good data, which I'll share with you tomorrow. But the first is a little context on the report on the scanning I do. I do this at concierge and private offices all around the country. I have a team of technicians that do this on a monthly basis, a different office. We rotate around. And I have a lot of good conversations with cardiologists, primary care guys, and the specialists, the guy who go through extra education on how to prevent heart attacks and strokes. So I wanted to give you all some context on how bad is it really. So you don't get referred to the hospital until you have 70% blockage or more. You're not the hospital's problem. The vascular surgeon doesn't want to see you. That's a lot of disease. I didn't find anybody that bad at the conference. However, some people had 50, 60% occlusion, and that needs to be managed by your primary care doctor. Unless you're that bad, you've got a few specks of plaque and IMT that's somewhere near your vascular age, a vascular age that's somewhere near your real age, you're going to be okay. A lot of people at this conference have a zero tolerance mentality towards heart disease, and they want to fix it. And these don't reverse. They don't go away. The plaques will shrink quite a bit, but they don't disappear. They'll leave a calcified scar on the artery. The artery still flexes. A lot of this can be healed. And so nobody is that bad. You'll probably have some some of you have reached out to your cardiologist to make sure that you aren't that bad, and I appreciate it. I've talked to a few docs, and this is great. But this is the test used in research by the FDA to validate the lipid, the statins, the class that manages your lipids, your cholesterol. And although statins are sold as a way to manage cholesterol, what I see, and remember, I've got doctors all over, and some are very statin heavy. Some use a lot of these drugs, and others use diet and exercise. And I see a lot, but the statins do work. They are the last resort. If you've done everything else, you've lost the weight, you've exercised, your body's trim and fit, you've changed your diet to be a low inflammatory diet, you're loving all that, then yeah, you want a statin or look into it. There's other options that I'll put on tomorrow's email, maybe today's, but there's a lot to learn from that. So unless your arteries are 70% or more, you don't need to see a vascular surgeon. What we look in your neck is a reflection of what's going on in your heart, and we can tune it up. One more thing, your vascular age, that is based off the ERIC study, atherosclerosis risk and community study. And there was 10,000 people over 10 years. And that's where I get the male values and the female values on the graphs that you'll see. There was some research studies done to qualify that's your risk based off of how much disease you have. And we categorize them. This is another 10,000 person, 10 years. We categorize them into the classes. And the worst was patients that were blocked 50% or more. And 80% of them had a heart attack or stroke in the next 10 years. The next class was their intima, was the lining of their artery. Was that thick all over? Was that thicker than a millimeter? If it was, you had a 40% chance of a heart attack or stroke in the next few years. Now, if you have a section of your intima that touches a millimeter or measures more than a millimeter, it goes down. I think it's 20s or in the teens. And then as the arteries get cleaner and better, your risk goes down. And the lowest was, I think, 0.1% risk of a heart attack or stroke in the healthy patients. And I suppose a lot of those were electrical problems, not so much plumbing or cardiac problems, but they still happened. But if you're going to play the statistics, looking at the arteries in the neck is a great reflection of your 10-year cardiovascular risk. Anyways, I welcome more phone calls, more emails, and look forward to talking to y'all.